Which one of you left the cocaine in the White House?
I left the cocaine! 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 I left the cocaine!
I left the Who else would it be? Well, I guess we'll never know.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Remember that one time that we had a cokehead living in the White House? His name was Hunter Biden, and he was effectively Joe Biden's chief of staff. As Joe Biden, we've now learned, had terminal cancer, could barely get up in the morning. It was Hunter Biden who was up and at him with daddy's little helper. A reminder that Hunter Biden said he was on his hands and knees trying to smoke crack out of the carpet.
Crack cocaine. I probably smoked more Parmesan cheese than anyone that you know, I'm sure, Tracy.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Oh, it's funny because I'm on my hands and knees trying to smoke Parmesan cheese. I think it's a crack rock. Now I'm the freaking chief of staff for the entire constitutional executive branch, the most powerful military and economy in the world. And I'm literally berserker mode, high off my ass on the White House balcony for everyone to see as I sniff and snort away, wandering off into the White House. Where was Hunter Biden going? Well, we're not exactly sure. Shortly after this clip, Hunter Biden, well, mysteriously went absent, and what we were able to find inside of the White House were little baggies of cocaine, hidden not in one place, but in multiple locations all throughout the White House. They were literally hiding cocaine in the bathroom. Which Biden family member was it? Could it have been the guy who had cocaine on his illegal gun pouch?
Get it? To the president's son, federal prosecutors say that cocaine residue was found on the leather case Hunter Biden stores his gun in.
Cheryl Casoni has had her nose all over this story. She's with Fox Business. She's here with more. Cheryl.
Oh, good morning. Puns are well done, guys, Carly and Todd. So federal prosecutors say that a brown leather pouch used by Hunter Biden to store his gun had cocaine residue on it. And
got it. Yeah, great. Okay, smartest guy I know. It's interesting when the comedians get it, right? You know that the American public is on it, right? When you become a punchline, when it becomes comedy, you know that you've lost. Listen to this just really short clip from Joe Rogan's podcast, Tim Dillon, explaining this dynamic between Hunter Biden and Joe.
What's a big scandal? People are going like, well, his son's an addict and he stood by his son. Number one, don't stand by it. Like if a laptop came out where I had done what Hunter Biden did, my family would tell people I was dead. Like, and they're not even the president. My dad sells wine and he wouldn't admit, like, there is a time you cannot support your kids, by the way. What are we talking about? People are like, well, he's a good father. It's like, is he? Was he?
Do you think it was his coke at the White House?
Whose coke is it outside? It's definitely his coke. But I don't like narcs and rats, so I think he should be able to have a little, he can have a blast.
Yeah, what's the big deal? You're at your fucking dad's house.
If your father's a president, you can't have a blast? You can't do a little bump?
Well, they're not going to have a blast anymore. You may recall that the most recent update here about the cocaine at the White House was that the FBI found the baggies. Of course, they did a DNA test on the baggies. They found DNA inside of the cocaine baggies. That would be, what your nose would leave inside of a bag or your finger or thumb. And then they just decided to do nothing. The cocaine is still inside of evidence lockers in Quantico, the FBI laboratories. Boy, sure would be interesting for us to revisit that and find out whose DNA was inside of the illegal substance at the White House. Of course, this is a very illegal substance in the country. It shouldn't be anywhere near a president or the executive residence. Now knowing the state of Joe Biden might have been really dangerous. Maybe it was Joe Biden using it. Boy, in order to get through the day. Who knows? It's time for us to find out. FBI revisiting Biden White House cocaine find. And also the leaks out of the Supreme Court and the January 6th pipe bombs. Well, this is interesting. Who's chatting here? It's Dan Bongino. 3 of the biggest unsolved mysteries in recent political history. Unsolved mysteries. FBI Director Dan Bongino announced Monday. Bongino, former NYPD officer, Secret Service agent, and conservative commentator, revealed on X that he and the Bureau Director, Kash have decided to reopen or push additional resources to investigate the attention of the discovery of cocaine in the West Wing. The leak of a draft Supreme Court opinion overturning Roe v. Wade and planting a pipe bomb outside of the Democrat and Republican National Committees on January 6th. These are, of course, massive cover-up operations. Bongino writing this. Thanks for following this account and allowing us to update you about what we're doing at the FBI. At your FBI. A few updates. The director and I will have most of our incoming reform teams in place by next week. The hiring process can take a little bit of time, but we are approaching that finish line. This will help both of us in doubling down on reform agenda. Shortly after swearing in, the director and I evaluated a number of cases of potential public corruption that understandably have garnered public interest. We made the decision to either reopen, push additional resources, or investigative attention in these cases. The cases are the D.C. pipe bombing investigation, the cocaine discovery of the prior administration's White House, the leak of the Supreme Court Dobbs case. I received requests and briefings on these cases weekly. We're making progress. If you have any investigative tips on these matters that may assist us, please contact the FBI. I can tell you based on my sources, which are impeccable, that we're going to be hearing some major announcements about January 6th pipe bomber incident. We'll get to that in just a second. The director and I have done only one media interview together, and we decided early on to limit our media footprint overall in order to keep the attention of the work being done. There are both positives and negatives to this approach. We have chosen to communicate in writing on this platform to fill some of the inevitable information vacuums. I try and read as much of your feedback as possible. The workday is busy, and my office is a SCIF with limited phone access. That means a secure facility, right? Military facility. In response to feedback, both positive and negative, from our interview last week, we'll be releasing more information, which will further clarify answers to some of the questions asked in the interview. Thank you for your support. God bless America and those who defend her. This is Dan Bongino, probably alluding to if he's talking about negative feedback here, he's probably talking about him saying that there was no greater conspiracy theory about the Trump assassinations. It's not for me to argue. It's for me to say, show us the evidence. That's all, right? So Dan Bongino coldly says, we see no evidence that this was some type of master conspiracy. Fine, show us the messages. Show us Matthew Thomas Crooks. He was on a cell phone. He was talking to somebody right before he tried to kill Trump in an on-air execution and start a civil war in our country and end Western civilization as we know it. So show us his text messages, his computer login information. Show us everything. Every photo, every habit he had, who he was talking with, how many federal agents did he brush shoulders with at the gun range. Just show us. Same thing with the Epstein evidence. Bongino and Patel say Epstein killed himself. Now we've talked on this show about how Epstein could have been strangled and hanged in his cell, and how somebody could have been paid, his cellmate perhaps, who was a notorious strangler and bodybuilder, could have snapped his neck by doing this. It could have been that Epstein even paid him. So we're not saying that Epstein didn't die of strangulation in his cell. It's just somebody broke his neck, clearly. Somebody broke his neck and it wasn't Epstein. Until I see other evidence, there is zero evidence that is public that shows me that it's Epstein. Well, Dan Bongino says, no, he killed himself. Okay. Out with the evidence, right? And that's what Bongino says here. So those would be the two criticisms, right? They have troves of information on January 6th, and it's being sent to Congress. FBI is looking at a number of cases of public corruption. Again, they have the cocaine. It has DNA on it. Run the DNA test. The FBI is reopening a series of investigation, including the Dobbs leak. Now, this is, of course, when there was a leak of the Dobbs decision. This ended Roe v. Wade in our country. And that decision was given months ahead of its release in its near final form to Politico. Well, there's not that many people who work inside of the administration. There's not that many people who would have access to this. Pretty obvious. You just grab the Politico reporter and you say, okay, well, let's get the source here. Thank you very much. You just subpoena the emails. You just subpoena the messages. What they did was criminal and was intended, obviously, to affect one of the protected branches of our federal government, the judiciary, the highest court in that judiciary. It was designed to sabotage a ruling to get Supreme Court justices killed, and it nearly did. roving gangs of suicide squads marched through the streets and surrounded the houses of conservative justices. So criminally prosecute. And then, of course, the pipe bomber. According to our sources at the FBI, they know who it is. They had a very hot lead. And then the entire investigation was killed, for lack of a better term, by the Biden DOJ. Really makes you wonder, right? The one guy who I'll link arms with you, I'll fight, I'll do anything to try and catch the pipe bomber. It's the one J6er that I will help the feds catch, okay? Any resource I have is yours. Let me help you catch the pipe bomber. The entire Fed's direction, narrative, hinges upon the pipe bomber and who it is. Update from the FBI. Bongino is getting weekly briefings on pipe bombing, cocaine discovery, and the Supreme Court Dobbs decision. This is very, very good. These are great. They're working with Ed Martin on the pipe bomber case. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to get real. You need people, you need information, and you need people with information. I'll allow the public to put that together. Just wait. You'll see nothing we're doing is by accident. We trust Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. We know them personally. But that's not going to, I know that they're honorable men. I know that they're men who didn't need this. Neither of them needed the massive pay increase of what $70,000 a year that they're getting in these roles. It's not a lot. Their salaries are public. They didn't need it. They're not here to waste time. They're here to put bad guys, and Hunter Biden is a bad person, in prison, hopefully. Boy, this wouldn't cover, the pardon wouldn't cover this, would it? Cocaine at the White House. Hunter Biden spent a staggering $800,000 on hookers, porn, sex club memberships. Took $1.6 million from ATMs while he was lying, by the way, to his baby mama, saying he was dead broke. They're complete scum. The comedians always know, ladies and gentlemen, if you want Hunter Biden in prison, if you want the release of this information, and if you want it all done right, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, as we are the #1 publishers clearinghouse for this information. Be tough and fair, obviously. As we have said, we're not going to blindly trust just because we know the quality of the men. Cash. We're not going to blindly trust, yes, everything you tell is great. No, you can show us the information, though, and that would be a public good, right? If you're able to say certain things with certitude on controversial issues, show us the info, right? And let the public see it. We're adults, we can take it, and trust the American people more than anything. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See you.